Do you think there's going to be a change in Heupel's philosophy? I don't mean like a dramatic change. I mean, do you think he's going to do some things a little bit different this year because of what Joe Milton can do versus what Hendon Hooker could do?
Yeah, I don't think Josh is one of those guys who's a this is my way or the highway type of coach. I think he figures out what he has best and what best assets he has for his team, and that's it. You know, I think that's one of the things that made Hendon Hooker better. I think having Josh made Hendon Becker better, and I think they both kind of benefited from having each other on, being around each other, and one being the other, just I think that worked very well. I think Heupel looks at his guy and says, "This is what he has. This is what I can do with him, and this is what we're gonna do. Not this is my system, and this is how it has to be done, and that's it." It's different. I don't think Joe Milton is the same type of athlete when it comes to running the ball as Hendon Hooker is, in my opinion. I think he could run the ball. I think he very well could. He's a big guy, tough, strong, but he's not as elusive as Hendon Hooker. So arm strength, I think he has more arm strength than probably has the best arm strength of any quarterback in college football right now, and some guys in the NFL. But you got to use his best attributes. That's like I was saying when I coach in high school football and even any sport. You take the best attributes of that kid and you try to just hone in on that skill, as opposed to just saying, "Okay, this is my way. He can't do it that way. Then well, that's it." No, some guys don't know how to bump and run. Some guys don't know how to play off man. Some guys don't know how to read a whole field. You look at what Lane Kiffin did with Compton. Before Lane Kiffin came, Compton was kind of an average quarterback. When Kiffin came, he became a really good quarterback that year. But one of the things they did was cut half the field off for him. So all his reads were on one side of the field instead of the entire field. But that's something that Lane Kiffin figured out and understood about him. And it made him a better quarterback. And then once he learned how to do half the field, he had understood how to read the entire field from that point on. I think he had a really good season that year just because of that. But you got to be, as a coach, you have to be able to recognize those things about your players because they're not all the same. They don't all have the same skills. So,
yeah, I agree. And I noticed with Heupel, he does that too with, 2 years ago, Cedric Tillman was the go-to guy. Wide out, you relied on him a lot. Tillman gets hurt. Last year, he turns more towards the slot, Jalen Hyatt. And so, yeah, I've seen that a lot. Would you say it's funny you brought up Compton. Would you say that was the issue with when Dave Clawson was there at Tennessee in 2008? He tried to force his offense on a team that really did not fit that offense at all.
Absolutely. You can't – I don't agree with just saying, this is my system and that's it. What do you mean this is my system and that's it? I got to fit in your system and that's all? That means you're very limited as a coach. I don't know who told you was a great coach, but you're not. Maybe back in the day when it was 3 yards in the cloud of dust, but no. In today's game, if you don't understand how to evolve with your players, you're not going to be around long. It's just – it is what it is. My way to highway type of coaching is obsolete.
Yeah, it reminds me of – it's funny you bring it up. It reminds me of – whatever we think about him as a human, which we can go a lot of ways with that, but when Urban Meyer was at Florida, his first national title, Chris Leak wasn't necessarily the best fit for his system, but he tailored his spread offense to fit Chris Leak, and that's how they won the national title that year.
And that's why they won a national championship. He did the same thing with Tim Tebow. And that's why they won a national championship. Those are the things you do as a coach. If you're supposed to be a good coach, you know how to adapt to your players as well. All right, this is my way. Hey, man, you need to go somewhere. That'll cost you some players in recruiting. If that's the way you coach nowadays, it's going to cost you some players in recruiting. It'll make you lose a guy like a Von Bell. It'll make you lose a guy like a Jalen Ramsey that could come to your school and but that's not the way you want to coach him. You know what I mean? Those guys are great athletes and showing it on the next level as well. You can't just be a system guy. You know what I mean? Sometimes the athletic ability has to be something that just oozes out.
I'm hearing that you may have just taken a shot at Derek Dooley by those two names right there, Von Bell and Jalen Ramsey.
I'll take a shot and I'll call him out. Yeah, Derek Dooley. Absolutely. I don't like Derek Dooley. very much. So it is what it
Yeah,
is. And I say
I hear
something,
it.
I stand on it. I don't
Yes,
need
there
to be
you go.
anonymous. I'll say it and I said it. Yeah, I said it.
Fred, I know you got to go towards the end of the month, but I really appreciate you jumping in. How can people get in touch with you?
You know what? They can give me a phone call at 770-381-0367, or they can go online and we're online at Fred White Allstate. You can find us on all social media platforms under Fred White Allstate as well. Give us a call, check us out. We'd love to be able to help you out with your recruiting. I'm sorry, with your insurances, your auto, life insurance, and home insurance as well. We also do business insurance as well as commercial auto. So we have a full array of insurance that we can sell you, and we would love to be able to help you out. And one thing we will do, like I just said, we will stand on it.
Fred, thanks a lot. One last question, because Dave's not here. Because I thought about this recently, but the year you first arrived at Tennessee was the year that Goody Mob dropped Soul Food. And the year before, Outkast had dropped Southern Playlist at Cadillac Music. Now, in the 2000s, Outkast was a bigger deal. Who was more famous in the moment, Outkast or Goody Mob for Georgia kids? It was still Outkast.
They were the first ones to break the mold for it to be mainstream. Outkast is still the one. I love Goody Mob. Now, don't get me wrong. There's no group, period, better than Outkast, in my opinion. Rap group.
I agree.
Wu-Tang Clan will be a close second, but Outkast is it. Andre 3000 and Big Boy, baby.
Yeah, I agree on the talent level. They're second to none. See, I'm a little bit younger, so I kind of paid attention in the early 2000s. So I was a Ludacris T.I. guy, but
you don't get Ludacris and T.I. without Outkast.
No, that's true.
They were the first.
That is true.
They made Atlanta. We've had plenty of rappers before Outkast, but Outkast made it big. They were the first ones from Georgia that everybody knows. So
yep. And that year,
wouldn't know who T.I. was or Ludacris without them.
Right. No, yeah, I appreciate them, and I had their newer albums in the 2000s that were good. You know, I had Stinkonia and Secret Box Love Below, but I didn't know much about early Outkast because I was just so young at the time. But
man, listen, Southern Playlist, the Cadillac Funky Music is one of the most. It is an instant classic. You need to Google it and just.
Oh, I've listened to it retroactively. I have. Just like I watched a lot of Tennessee football highlights from the early 90s, even though I wasn't a fan. I can retroactively analyze things and enjoy it. So
yes.